We've all been hearing about the US tariffs and the global impact they are potentially going to have. And it also looks like it's going to have an impact on the retro gaming handheld market, with some handhelds becoming almost inobtainable or even not being made anymore. The US handheld tax could mean the golden age of ultra affordable retro gaming handhelds may be coming to an end. A new US executive order aims to close de minimis trade exemption, which previously allowed small value imports under the cost of $800 to enter the US tax-free. Originally set to take effect in February 2025, the policy was delayed to finalize customs procedures. But now, starting May 2nd, 2025, tariffs will apply to most budget-friendly devices. For retro gaming enthusiasts, this means higher prices on popular handhelds from brands like Anbernic, Retroid, Powkiddy and Aya, as well as potential delays for the Nintendo Switch 2. But here's what you need to know. The new US handheld tax will impact purchases under $800 from China, Vietnam, and other tariff-targeted countries. It's going to impact common retailers like AliExpress, Temu, Shine, and direct OEM sites like Retroid and Anbernic. It's primarily going to impact USPS, but couriers like FedEx and DHL could also pass those costs on to the buyers. The new duty rates means that you're going to pay 30% extra of the item's value, or $25 per item, which will increase to $50 per item after June 1st. So for example, this price increase could change the R36S from $20 to $30. A Retroid Pocket Flip could go up from $230 to $300, an Aya Pocket Evo could go up from $460 to $600, and the Nintendo Switch 2 could increase from $450 to $590, with a potential extra 46% for Vietnamese tariffs. Now, can you avoid these tariffs? Now, there are some potential loopholes, but there's a good chance they're just not going to work. You could use alternative shipping options. The order does target USPS delivered packages, but most couriers still hand off to USPS for final delivery, which means buyers will most probably receive post-delivery bills for duties and handling fees. You could bulk all your retro handhelds into an order over $800, but that's not really that conceivable for most people. Or you could just make sure all your orders are done before May 2nd, but what does that mean for any future retro handhelds? This has the potential to have a huge impact on the retro gaming handheld market. Not just in the US, but globally as well. Budget handhelds will most likely survive, but they're gonna cost more. An R36 going up from $20 to $30 still makes it cheaper than most resellers on Amazon, but it does make them slightly less of an impulse buy. Premium handhelds are going to be the ones that are hit the most. Devices from the likes of Aya and Retroid are going to see high-end models with about a $100 increase. This makes devices where you're already thinking, should I get this version or should I wait for maybe a future version, a lot more difficult to pull the trigger on. But one of the most interesting current scenarios is the impact to the Nintendo Switch 2. Pre-orders have already been delayed in the US to understand these tariffs in better detail. But with the extra 46% tariff because the Nintendo Switch 2 is made in Vietnam, as well as a potential 24% tariff on cartridges made in Japan, this could make the Nintendo Switch 2 one of the most expensive consoles to date. Now, will this annihilate the retro gaming handheld market? Probably not, but it's going to make it a lot more difficult for it to survive, certainly in the way that we have currently known it in the past 4 to 5 years. Low-end devices may disappear as they're not as appealing anymore because of the increased cost. Mid-range devices will remain, but they're going to be a bit more niche as they're going to cost more money. And luxury devices could become exactly that, luxury devices, seeing a huge reduce in demand. Now, things are still evolving and changing, so it's important to keep your ear to the ground on this and to make sure you know what's going on. You might even see suppliers putting in some coupons or discounts, especially maybe for US deliveries, to try and alleviate some of these pressures. There's one thing for certain, companies like Retroid are not going to want to just completely bin the whole market of America. They put a lot of time and effort into building up interest, into building up an image for the devices that they make. Anbernic and Retroid are almost becoming as common names now as Nintendo and PlayStation. If you want to understand this in a bit more detail, you can go over and check out the blog post over on chronicspartan.com. But if you want to make sure that you're up to date with everything that's going on, make sure you're subscribed and we'll keep you up to date with anything we find out.